Maya, my finger has been hovering over this upload button for 10 minutes straight, and I swear my heart is beating so loud I can hear it echoing inside my skull. I know we edited this video 100 times, I know we watched every second of it and tried to make sure I'm telling the truth without completely destroying my own mind in the process, but I still can't shake the feeling that once I click this, there's no going back. This isn't just another video on the channel. This is the video that could end my family's career, ruin my parents' reputation, and completely change how millions of strangers see me. And the craziest part is that a tiny piece of me still wonders if maybe I'm overreacting, if maybe I'm about to blow up my life over things that everyone else will tell me were just jokes and just content.
Zara, listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything just to make you feel better in the moment. I have watched you suffer quietly for years behind that perfect YouTube smile. I've watched your dad film you when you were crying and then turn your breakdowns into thumbnails with red arrows and big dramatic titles, and I've watched the comment sections fill up with people either worshipping your family or tearing you apart without knowing a single real thing about you. You are not overreacting. You are finally reacting, after being pushed way past every reasonable boundary a teenager should ever have to tolerate. And yes, once you upload this, you can't undo it, but you also can't keep living this double life where the internet thinks you're the luckiest girl in the world while you secretly count the days until you can move out.
The thing that keeps spinning around in my mind is how much of my identity got stitched together by this channel before I was old enough to decide who I wanted to be. People literally grew up watching me grow up, and they think they know me, like really know me, because my dad made sure there was a camera pointed at my face during every birthday, every surprise vacation, every staged prank where I was the punchline. They saw me cry when he told me we were giving away my dog, even though it turned out to be a prank, and they spammed the comments with things like, "You're so strong," and "This was hilarious, I laughed so hard," and I just kept thinking, none of you realize you're watching a girl genuinely shatter inside, just because it made good content. And now I'm about to show all of those people the footage they were never supposed to see, the parts without the goofy background music, the screaming matches that got cut out, the way my dad talks to me when it's just us in a locked door.
I know, and that's exactly why this video matters so much more than whether some strangers think you are being dramatic or ungrateful. People worship these perfect family channels and let their kids binge watch them all day without realizing they're seeing a carefully edited version of reality that hides the harm happening behind the scenes. If even a fraction of your audience learns to question what they see online because of your story, and if even one other kid with a camera in their face realizes they're allowed to say, "I don't want to do this anymore," then the fallout will be worth it. Your dad always said, "We share our lives to help people," but he never actually meant it. This time, you are the one sharing, and this time, it might actually help.
The irony is insane, isn't it? My whole life has basically been a script he wrote for me, with reactions he expected me to perform on cue. If he wanted me to cry, he'd push me until I snapped, then he'd call it a prank. If he wanted me to look grateful, he'd dangle a gift in front of me and then threaten to take it back if I didn't smile big enough. And now I've written my own script, this video, and it's the first time I'm not playing the obedient, soft-spoken daughter who forgives everything for the camera. I'm scared of the hate comments, and I'm scared of what my dad is going to say, or do, when he realizes he can't control this narrative. But I'm more scared of waking up 5 years from now, still trapped in that house, still being Zara from the Perfect Parkers, instead of just Zara, a person who deserved a childhood and never really got one.
Then let me ask you the one question that really matters: if you don't upload this, what changes? Your dad will keep turning your life into episodes, your mom will keep pretending everything is fine because she's terrified of losing the lifestyle, your little brother will grow up thinking it's normal to monetize every emotion, and you'll keep having panic attacks off camera and then getting told to pull yourself together because the audience doesn't like sad energy. Nothing changes unless you choose to change it. This video is your line in the sand. It's you saying, "I'm not your character anymore, I'm the author now." And yeah, the algorithm will probably push this like crazy because it's dramatic and raw and messy, but beyond the views, this is about your peace.
You're right. I hate that you're right, because it means I don't have any excuses left to hide behind. I keep picturing my dad's face when the notifications start blowing up and he realizes the views are coming from my channel, not his, and that for once, he's not in control of the story. Part of me feels guilty, like I'm betraying him, but another part of me keeps whispering that he betrayed me first, over and over, every time he chose content over my dignity. I'm tired of carrying his image on my shoulders like it's my responsibility to keep the brand alive. I want to be done. I want to breathe without worrying about how my breathing looks on camera.
Then take a deep breath right now, without thinking about the camera, without worrying about thumbnails, and do the one thing you've been building up to for months. You already filmed the video. You already told the truth. All that's left is clicking a button. I'll sit here the whole time, I'll watch the first wave of comments with you, and if it all becomes too much, we'll close the laptop and I'll remind you that your worth isn't measured in views or subs or trending tabs. You're not doing this alone, Zara. Not anymore.
Okay, I'm doing it. My hands are shaking, but I'm doing it. The title is staring back at me, The Dark Truth About My Perfect YouTube Family. It looks so dramatic, but honestly, it's still softer than what really happened. I'm moving the cursor, I'm clicking public, and it's uploaded. There, it's live. There's no turning back now.
Good. Now, while the world starts discovering your side of the story, tell me again, from the beginning, how we got here. Because when they watch this animation, I want them to understand every step that led to this moment, every red flag you ignored, and every time you were taught that views mattered more than your voice.
Zara, sweetheart, sit here with me for a second. I know you've noticed that I've been walking around with the camera a lot lately and talking to it like a crazy person, and you probably think I've lost my mind, but I promise there's a method to this madness. I've been doing some research, watching all these family channels on YouTube, and I realized something: we could do this. We could be that happy, funny, inspirational family that people all over the world fall in love with. Imagine it, people sending us fan mail, companies paying us to try their products, and us getting to travel and make memories, all while I work from home and actually get to spend time with you instead of being stuck at the office until midnight every day.
I mean, it sounds kind of fun, I guess, but I don't really understand why anyone would want to watch us just live. We're not super interesting, Dad. I go to school, you go to work, Mum cooks dinner, Ethan cries for no reason. Why would strangers care about us just being normal? And does this mean I'm going to have a camera in my face all the time? Because I already get nervous when the teacher asks me to read out loud, and that's just in front of my class, not in front of like, thousands of people.
That's the beautiful part, kiddo. People don't want perfection, they want relatability. They want to feel like they're part of your life, like they're your extended family. And we're not just going to show the boring stuff, we're going to show the fun, exciting, emotional moments. We'll do little challenges, fun pranks, surprise you with gifts every now and then, and we'll share those moments with the world. And as for the camera, trust me, you'll get used to it. At first it might feel strange, but eventually it'll be like another friend in the room. And I promise, if you ever really hate it, you can tell me. I'm your dad before I'm a YouTuber.
If you really mean that, then I guess I could try it. It would be pretty cool if we could spend more time together and not have you come home so tired every night that you fall asleep on the couch before we even finish dinner. But I need you to promise me something for real, not just for the video. Promise that you won't film me if I'm really upset or if I say I don't want to. I don't want kids at school seeing me cry on the internet and then making fun of me forever. And I don't want our life to feel fake, like we're acting all the time.
You have my word, Zara. We'll keep it fun, light, and positive. I would never exploit your pain. That's not what this is about. This is about giving us all a better life and maybe inspiring other families along the way. If you say, turn the camera off, I'll turn it off. If you are uncomfortable, we stop filming. You're my daughter, and your feelings come first. So what do you say? Are you ready for our first video? We can film a little, meet our family, intro. All you have to do is be yourself and smile that big smile that melts my heart every time.
Okay, I'll try, but if this gets weird, I'm telling Mum. And also, can I approve the parts where I look weird before you upload them? Because I don't want a video of me with food stuck in my teeth getting 1 million views.
Deal. You can sit next to me while I edit and we'll pick the best clips together. You are going to be great on camera, Zara. Trust me, people are going to fall in love with you.
So your father tells me that you're officially on board with this whole family channel idea, at least enough to give it a chance. I'll be honest, when he first pitched it to me, I thought he'd finally snapped from all those late nights at work, but then he showed me the numbers some of these channels make, and I started thinking about what that money could mean for our family. Paying off the mortgage, setting up a college fund for you and Ethan, Not panicking every time the car makes a weird noise because we can actually afford to fix it. It sounds like a dream, but I also know that dreams can have sharp edges.
I'm mostly doing it because Dad seems so excited, and I like the idea of him being home more, but I'm kind of scared too, Mum. I don't want to mess up and embarrass us in front of everyone, and I don't really get what being online actually means. It's just a bunch of people watching us on their phones, right? They're not, like, actually here. They can't reach through the screen. So why does it feel like we're opening the front door and letting the whole world walk in?
Because in a way, we are. When you invite people into your life through a camera, you give them opinions, expectations, and a strange sense that they're entitled to pieces of you. Some of them will be kind and supportive, and some of them will be cruel, because they forget there's a real child behind the face they see on their screen. That's what scares me, Zara, that you'll start to measure your worth by the number of views and likes and comments you get. I want you to remember that you were enough long before anyone watched you online.
So what do I do if people say mean things about me? Like if they call me ugly or say I'm annoying or that I'm a brat because I cried in a video or something. I don't know if I'm strong enough to hear millions of strangers judging me when I'm still trying to figure out who I am.
Then you come to me, and you let me remind you that strangers on the internet don't get to define you. I can't promise that your dad won't get a little too excited about the numbers sometimes. He's always been a bit intense when he gets focused on a goal, but I will do my best to protect you from the worst of it. And I'll push back when he forgets that you're his daughter first and a content creator second. Just promise me something in return. If you ever feel like this is hurting you more than it's helping, tell me. Don't hide it because you think we need the money or because you don't want to disappoint us.
I promise I'll tell you, Mum. But you have to promise you'll listen if I do. Sometimes I feel like you see how intense Dad gets, but you don't always say anything, like you're scared of making him mad. If I come to you and say, this is too much, I need you to be on my side, even if it means less money or fewer views.
You're right, I do get scared sometimes. Not because your father is dangerous, but because he can be so stubborn and so obsessed with his ideas that it feels easier to let him have his way. But when it comes to your well-being, I can't afford to be passive. So yes, I promise, I'll listen, and I'll stand up for you. And if this channel ever costs you your peace, we'll walk away. No video is worth your childhood.
Zara, could you stay behind for a minute after class? I wanted to talk to you privately, not as your teacher in front of everyone, but as an adult who's been quietly watching you for a while now. I've seen your family's channel, most of the school has, honestly, and I know how strange it must be to become the YouTube girl in real life. But lately I've noticed you falling asleep in class, handing in assignments late, and constantly checking your phone like you're waiting for something urgent. I'm not here to scold you, I'm here to ask if you're okay.
I don't really know how to answer that question anymore. Okay, used to mean that my grades were fine and I had a couple friends to sit with at lunch and my parents weren't fighting in front of me. Now, okay, seems to depend on whether our last video hit 1 million views or if the sponsors are happy or if the comments think I'm still relatable and sweet instead of annoying and spoiled. I stay up late filming, sometimes past midnight, and then Dad needs me up early because mornings have the best natural light, and then I come here half awake and try to pretend I'm just another student. It's like living two lives, except neither one feels fully like mine.
That sounds incredibly exhausting, especially for someone your age. I want you to understand something important. Even if the entire internet thinks they own your time and your image, they don't. And even if your parents are chasing this dream with the best intentions or under financial pressure, it doesn't change the fact that you're still a child who deserves rest, privacy, and the ability to make mistakes without millions of eyes watching. Have you ever told them how overwhelmed you feel?
I've tried, kind of. When I tell my dad I'm tired or that I don't want to film another emotional video, he tells me this is just a phase, that once the channel stabilizes we'll ease up. He always says, we're so close, Zara, just a few more big hits and we'll be set, but the finish line keeps moving. And when I talk to my mum, she listens, but then she reminds me that the channel paid for our house and my phone and the vacations and all the things I'm lucky to have, and I start to feel guilty, like I'm being ungrateful if I complain. So I swallow it, smile for the camera, and then come to school like I'm not falling apart.
That guilt you're describing is something a lot of kids feel when their family circumstances depend on them in ways they never chose. But I want you to remember, Having nice things does not erase your right to boundaries. Being lucky does not mean you forfeit your right to feel tired or sad or exploited. I'm obligated to keep an eye out for anything that looks like a student is being harmed, even emotionally, and while I'm not accusing your parents of abuse, I am concerned that they may be failing to see the impact of this lifestyle on your mental health. Would you be open to talking to the school counselor or a therapist? Sometimes having a neutral adult to talk to helps you clarify what you're feeling and what you need.
I think I'd like that, but I'm scared my dad will say I'm being dramatic, or worse, that he'll turn it into a video about our daughter's mental health struggles with some sad music in the background. Everything in my life feels like potential content, and I don't know how to keep parts of myself private anymore.
Then let's start with something simple and confidential. I can refer you to our school counselor, and those sessions are private. Your parents would be informed that you're receiving support, but not about the details of what you discuss unless there's a safety concern. And I can also put a note in your file requesting a reduced homework load temporarily, so you have at least a little breathing room. You're carrying a weight that no teenager should carry alone, Zara. Let us help shoulder it.
Okay, I don't know if it will change anything at home, but maybe it'll help me feel less like I'm drowning all the time. And thank you for noticing. Most people only see the views and the sponsorships and assume my life is perfect. It's a relief to have at least one adult who looks past the screen.
I just finished watching your latest video, the one where your dad pretends to lose Ethan at the mall and then surprises you with concert tickets when you are crying in the parking lot. The comments are calling it one of the funniest pranks ever, but I saw your face, Zara. That wasn't acting. You look like someone had ripped the floor out from under you.
Because it wasn't acting. He told me we were filming a shopping day vlog, and then 1 second Ethan was holding my hand and the next he'd disappeared. Dad kept the camera rolling while I was panicking, calling his name, asking the security guards for help. I genuinely thought my little brother had been kidnapped. I felt sick, like my insides were melting. And then Dad jumps out from behind a pillar, laughing, with Ethan and the camera, and tells me it was all just a prank, then hands me tickets and says, "See, it was worth it." The worst part is that after we got home, he made me redo the scene where he gives me the tickets because my first reaction was too angry and not brand friendly.
That's not just a bad joke, Zara, that's emotional manipulation, and it's being packaged as entertainment for millions of people. I need you to hear this, your feelings aren't props. Your fear, your tears, your panic, none of that is acceptable material to exploit for views. Does your dad even realize how messed up that situation was? Or is he so blinded by the numbers that he can't see you as anything other than his main character?
If I try to talk about it, he tells me I'm being too sensitive, that I should learn to take a joke, and be grateful the prank gave us such a big spike in subscribers. He showed me the analytics like it was proof that everything was fine, the watch time, the comments, the shares. He kept saying, "This is viral gold, Zara, this is how we secure your future." And all I could think was, what's the point of securing my future if you're destroying my present to get there?
Have you considered taking a break? Like an actual break where you're not in videos for a while. You are almost 16. You should be doing normal teenage things, complaining about homework, stressing about crushes, figuring out who you are, not constantly worrying about your on-screen persona, and whether the audience will turn on you.
I tried asking for a break once. I told my parents I wanted to step back from the channel for a few months, maybe focus on school and just being invisible for a while. My mum got quiet and worried, and my dad got this tight look on his face and started listing all the bills the channel pays. He said, "If you walk away, you're not just quitting a hobby, you're risking our stability. Think about your brother, think about the house over our heads." So of course I backed down, because how do you argue with that without feeling like a selfish monster?
That's an unfair burden to put on your shoulders. Parents are supposed to protect their kids from financial stress, not wrap it around their necks as a leash. I know you love your family, and I know your dad probably genuinely believes he's building something great for all of you, but intentions don't erase harm. At some point, you have to ask yourself, if the cost of this perfect life is your mental health, is it really worth paying?
I don't know. Some days I think, yes, it's worth it, just survive a few more years, and then you can leave, and at least you'll have money for college. Other days, like today, I fantasize about smashing every camera in the house and disappearing, starting over somewhere no one has ever heard of, the perfect Parkers. But then I imagine the fallout, the headlines, my dad's anger, the fans calling me a traitor, and I freeze. It feels like the whole world is a stage one never agreed to step on, and the exits are locked.
Then maybe, instead of trying to find an exit in one dramatic leap, you start looking for small cracks in the walls. Like talking to a therapist again. Or quietly saving any money you personally earn from brand deals that use your face. Or documenting things, keeping records of the times you said no and weren't heard. Because one day, you might need proof that you weren't just going along with it. You were trying to survive.
That sounds terrifying, but also empowering. Like maybe I don't have to wait until I'm 18 to start taking my life back. Maybe I can start now, quietly, even if I'm still filming. I just wish I didn't have to fight this hard just to be treated like a person and not a product.
Zara, last time you described feeling like your life belonged more to your audience than to you, and you used the phrase, performance prison, which really stuck with me. I'd like to explore that more today. When do you feel most like you're performing, and when, if ever, do you feel free?
I feel like I'm performing almost all the time now. Even when the camera isn't on, I'm thinking about whether something would make good content or how my reactions will look if my dad decides to film suddenly. It's like my brain has a built-in director constantly shouting, bigger smile, don't cry, be grateful, don't ruin the mood. The only time I feel even remotely free is late at night when everyone's asleep and I'm just scrolling on my phone, anonymous, reading other people's stories and wishing I could trade places with someone boring. Someone who can make a mistake without it becoming a trending topic.
That constant self-monitoring you're describing is a form of hypervigilance. You've learned, through repeated experiences, that your emotions can be captured and broadcast without your full consent. So your mind tries to stay one step ahead, always editing, always curating. That's an enormous amount of psychological pressure for a teenager. Have you ever told your parents explicitly, in clear words, I feel trapped by the channel, and I need this to change?
I've said things close to that, but never that directly. I usually water it down to, I'm tired, or can we film less? Because every time I've tried to be honest, it turns into an argument about money, sacrifice, and gratitude. My dad says things like, do you think your friends would kill to have your life? You're famous, you're sponsored, you've traveled the world, and you want to throw it all away because you're a little stressed. And then I feel ashamed for complaining.
Shame is a powerful silencer, especially when it's tied to the idea that you're ungrateful. But your emotional needs don't disappear just because your material needs are met. You're allowed to say, this is hurting me, even if the outside world thinks you're living a dream. I can't force your parents to change, but I can help you develop language and strategies to communicate your boundaries more clearly, and I can also help you plan for your own autonomy, financially, emotionally, and practically, so you're not stuck in this dynamic forever.
Sometimes I feel guilty for even coming here, like I'm betraying my family by telling you things they don't want anyone to know. But then I remember that they've been telling the whole world things about me that I didn't always want shared, and it feels a little less like betrayal and more like reclaiming my voice. I don't want to destroy them, I just want them to see me, not just views and brand deals.
That distinction is important. You're not here because you hate your parents, you're here because you feel unseen and unheard by them in crucial ways. Therapy is a safe space where you're allowed to express that without being punished. Over time, we can work towards you feeling strong enough to assert, I will not participate in content that harms me, and to tolerate their reactions without collapsing into guilt. And if, eventually, you decide to share your story publicly, we can also talk about how to protect your mental health during and after that process.
I've actually thought about that, a lot. About making my own video one day, telling the truth. Sometimes it feels like the only way to balance out all the curated, fake happiness people have seen. But I also know it would explode everything, and I question whether I'm strong enough to handle the aftermath.
If that day ever comes, it will be because you've decided that your need for authenticity outweighs your fear of conflict. Until then, my job is to help you build inner resilience, practical plans, and a support network, people like Maya, so that whatever you choose, you're not walking through it alone.
I saw you coming back from your therapy session with that tired look in your eyes, the one you get when you've been digging up things you'd rather keep buried. I'm not going to ask you what you talked about, that's your business, but I do want to know how you're feeling. Not for the channel, not for your dad, just for me, your mother, who lies awake at night wondering if we made a terrible mistake letting our lives become content.
I feel torn. Part of me loves the good parts, the messages from kids saying I helped them feel less alone, the opportunities I'd never have gotten otherwise, the security of knowing we're not losing the house if Dad's company downsizes again. But the other part of me is exhausted, angry, and sometimes resentful. I'm mad that I can't even have a meltdown without wondering if a camera is pointed at me. I'm mad that my happiest and saddest moments are owned by a platform that could delete everything tomorrow with one policy change. And I'm mad that when I try to say this, it feels like you and Dad here, I hate you, when what I'm actually saying is, I'm hurting.
It's not that I don't hear you, Zara. It's that I feel trapped too, in a different way. Your father has tied so much of his identity and self-worth to this channel that questioning it feels like questioning his entire purpose. When you were younger and it was still small, I could nudge him, say, let's turn off the camera, she's tired, and he'd listen more. But now, with millions of people watching, sponsors expecting regular content, and an entire lifestyle built on the channel's success, he's terrified of slowing down. I don't agree with everything he does, but I also don't know how to unwind this without everything collapsing.
Do you ever wish we'd never started? That we'd just been a normal, slightly broke family with an overworked dad and a quiet house and no strangers commenting on what we eat for breakfast?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I look at old photos from before the channel, when our smiles were crooked and the lighting was terrible, but we weren't thinking about how those moments would perform. There's a kind of innocence we lost when we turned life into content. But I also remember the fear before the channel, the bills we couldn't pay, the nights your father sat at the table with his head in his hands, wondering how we'd make it. The channel felt like a miracle, and it's hard to walk away from a miracle even when it starts to hurt.
I don't need us to walk away overnight. I just need you to see that I'm not okay. That I'm not being dramatic when I say this pace and this kind of content are breaking me. I've thought about leaving on my own when I turn 18, but I don't want to leave scorched earth behind me. I want us to find a way to be a family again, even if it means being a smaller channel or, I don't know, no channel at all.
Hearing you say that so plainly, it hits harder than the vague hints and jokes you've made before. I can't promise I can change your father's mind overnight, but I can promise you this, I will stop minimizing your pain to keep the peace. If you say, I don't want this scene filmed, I will back you up. If you say, this idea crosses a line, I will say it with you. And if, in the end, your father refuses to listen and you decide to tell your story publicly, I won't stand in your way, even if it scares me.
Thank you. I needed to hear that from you more than you know.
Alright, Zara, I've got the next few weeks of content mapped out, and this is going to be huge. The numbers have dipped a bit, and the algorithm is clearly favoring more emotional and high-stakes videos, so we need something big. I've been brainstorming, and I've got a genius idea. We stage a runaway prank. You leave a note saying you can't take the pressure anymore and you've left home, we film our reactions, we pretend to search for you, and then, bam, you come back at the end and we all cry and hug and talk about family and forgiveness. It'll be real, raw, viral gold.
Do you hear yourself? You want to fake my mental breakdown and pretend I ran away because of the pressure you put on me, but only as a storyline to get views. Do you realize how twisted that is? I don't need to pretend to feel that way, Dad, I actually do. I've considered running away more times than I want to admit, and the fact that your first instinct is to turn that into a prank blows my mind.
You are overthinking it. It's just a story, a dramatization. People love redemption arcs and honest talks. And it's not like it's completely made up. We'd just be exaggerating real feelings in a controlled environment. You keep saying you want your voice heard. This is a way to do that while still keeping it entertaining.
No, this is a way for you to cash in on my pain without actually doing anything to fix it. If you really wanted my voice heard, you'd listen when I say I'm done being humiliated and traumatized for content. You'd stop filming my lowest moments and slapping clickbait titles on them. You'd stop calling exploitation, entertainment, and manipulation pranks.
Watch your tone, Zara. I've sacrificed a lot to build this life for us. I left a stable job, took a massive risk, and worked day and night to grow this channel. You've benefited from that just as much as I have, more even. The clothes you wear, the trips you take, the opportunities you get, they all exist because I had the vision and the drive to make this happen. So forgive me if I'm not eager to throw it all away because my teenage daughter suddenly thinks she's above making videos.
This isn't about being above anything. It's about basic respect and mental health. I didn't choose this when I was 10. You chose it for me. And now that I'm old enough to say, I don't want this, you're acting like I'm betraying you. You keep waving sacrifice in my face, but you never acknowledge what I sacrificed: my privacy, my childhood, my right to mess up in obscurity.
What do you want me to do, then? Shut down the channel. Fire everyone. Tell the sponsors, sorry, my daughter is having a crisis, so we're done. Life doesn't work like that, Zara. We have obligations.
I'm not asking you to nuke everything overnight. I'm asking you to hear me when I say this particular idea, this runaway storyline, is where I draw the line. I will not participate in a fake breakdown when I'm already barely holding it together. If you push this, I'm going to have to find another way to be heard, and you might not like how public that gets.
Is that a threat?
It's a warning. I'm done being your prop. If you keep crossing my boundaries, I will tell the world what it's really like behind the camera.
You recorded that conversation with your dad, didn't you? I can see it all over your face. You've got that look you get when you've done something terrifying but necessary.
Yeah, I turned on the voice recorder on my phone before we talked. I hated myself a little for doing it, like I was betraying him, but I also knew he'd probably twist my words later, make it sound like I was just having a teenage tantrum. Now I have proof of how he talks to me when the camera's off, how he reduces my entire existence to my usefulness to the channel.
It's not betrayal to document abuse of power. It's self-protection. You've been gaslit for years into thinking your boundaries are unreasonable. Having evidence is one way to remind yourself that you're not crazy, that he really did say those things, that he really is prioritizing views over your well-being. Have you thought about what you are going to do with that recording?
Part of me wants to send it to every drama channel on the internet and watch the empire burn. But that would drag Ethan into it, and I'm not ready to put my little brother through that kind of chaos. The other part of me wants to use it more carefully, as part of a video where I tell my story in my own way, on my own channel, the one I secretly started months ago under a different name, remember?
Yeah, your little anonymous venting channel that somehow already has thousands of subs because people can tell when someone's being brutally honest. If you decided to face reveal and say, hey, I'm actually Zara from the Perfect Parkers, and here's what it's really like, the internet would explode. Not just because of the drama, but because it would confirm every suspicion people have ever had about family channels going too far.
That's what scares me. I don't want to become another spectacle, just a different kind. I don't want my pain to be content again, even if this time I'm the one in control. But I also know that staying quiet just lets him keep doing this, to me, to Ethan, to anyone else who comes into our orbit.
Then the question becomes, what outcome matters most to you? Protecting the illusion of your family's perfection, or protecting real kids, yourself included, from being used like props? There's no painless option here. There's just the choice between continued silent harm and loud, messy truth.
I think I've been waiting for permission, from you, from Dr. Lewis, from the universe, to do something drastic. But the truth is, no one can give me that permission except me. I'm the one who has to live with the consequences, and I'm the one who has to decide if I can keep breathing in this performance prison for another year, or if I'd rather blow a hole through the wall and deal with the fallout.
Whatever you decide, I'm in your corner. If you want to stay and negotiate boundaries, I'll help you draft the emails and scripts. If you want to expose everything, I'll help you edit the video and moderate the comments. And if you want to pack a bag and disappear for a while, I'll ask my parents if you can stay in our guest room until things settle. You're not trapped alone, Zara. You have options, even if they're all scary.
Then I think it's time I stop just surviving and start choosing. And the choice I'm leaning toward is the one that terrifies me the most, telling the truth publicly, no matter what it costs.
You look resolved today in a way I haven't seen before. Nervous, yes, but also determined. What changed since our last session?
I confronted my dad about a new, runaway prank idea, and it turned into exactly the conversation I'd been afraid of, him guilt-tripping me with money, dismissing my feelings, and basically admitting that my value to him is tied to how I perform on camera. I recorded it. Listening back to it later, I heard, as if from outside myself, how cruel and manipulative his words sounded. It was like finally seeing my life in unedited form. And I realized I can't go back to pretending it's okay.
Sometimes hearing our reality reflected back without the usual justifications and minimizations can be an incredibly powerful catalyst. What are you thinking of doing with that realization?
I want to make a video. Not a rant, not a hit piece, but a careful, honest telling of my experience growing up on a family channel. I want to talk about the good parts, because there were good parts, but also the harm, the invasions of privacy, the emotional manipulation, the way I was pressured to perform even when it hurt me. I want other kids in similar situations to know they're not crazy for feeling trapped. And I want parents to think twice before putting a camera in their kids' face during their most vulnerable moments.
That's a brave and potentially impactful choice. It will also come with significant emotional and practical consequences, backlash from fans, angry responses from your family, possibly legal threats if your father feels his livelihood is at stake. Have you thought about how you'll protect yourself, emotionally, physically, and legally?
I've started planning. Maya's parents know a lawyer who's willing to at least give some initial advice about what I can safely say. I'm going to avoid making claims I can't support with evidence. I'll frame it as my personal experience, not an objective expose on every detail of my family's finances. Emotionally, I know it will hurt to see my dad react. But it already hurts to see him ignore my boundaries. There's no version of this where I don't feel pain. The difference is that in this version, the pain might lead somewhere better.
That's a very grounded way of looking at it. We can also work on coping strategies for the aftermath, setting boundaries around reading comments, planning breaks from social media, and identifying safe people and places you can retreat to when it becomes overwhelming. Remember, telling your story does not obligate you to engage with every reaction to it.
I'm scared, but for the first time, I'm also hopeful. It feels like I'm finally writing my own script instead of just reading lines someone else handed me.
Views are already climbing, 10,000 in the first few minutes. The comments are flooding in, and a lot of them are actually supportive. People are saying things like, "I always felt something was off with that channel," and "Thank you for being brave enough to speak up." How are you feeling?
Numb and shaky and weirdly light, all at once. Hearing my own voice in that video, telling the story from start to finish, the early promise, the little compromises that turned into big violations, the therapy sessions, the breaking point, it was like watching someone else's life. And now, seeing strangers react, some crying, some thanking me, some sharing their own stories about overbearing parents or toxic workplaces, it's surreal. I know the angry comments are coming too, and probably my dad's response video, but for this moment, I just feel free.
You did something most adults would be terrified to do, and you did it thoughtfully, not vindictively. You didn't just say, "My dad is a monster." You said, "The system is broken, and here's how it broke me." That's powerful. That's the kind of content that doesn't just go viral, it starts conversations, maybe even changes policies.
I hope so. In the video, I tried to be clear that this isn't just about my family. It's about all the kids growing up online without laws protecting their earnings, without any say in how their image is used, without any guarantee that their parents will put their well-being above the next brand deal. I feel like I opened a door that a lot of people have been knocking on quietly for years.
Is that him?
Yeah, Dad. A bunch of missed calls and a text that just says, "We need to talk." Now, I knew this was coming. I can't avoid him forever.
You don't have to face him alone. But maybe this first conversation should be between just the two of you. Remember what Drive Lewis said, set your boundaries clearly, stay calm, don't let him twist the narrative. And if he gets aggressive, you walk away. You're not that powerless little kid anymore.
Okay, I'll call him. And whatever happens, I'm not taking the video down.
I can't believe you did this to us, Zara. Do you have any idea what you've unleashed? Sponsors are already calling to pause contracts. Our inbox is flooded. People are calling me an abuser, a monster, saying we should be investigated. You didn't just air some dirty laundry, you set the whole house on fire.
The house was already on fire, Dad. I just opened a window so people could see the smoke. I didn't lie in that video. I talked about real things that happened, pranks that went too far, boundaries I clearly stated and you ignored, the way you tied my value to my performance. I didn't say you never did anything good for us. I said that the good didn't erase the harm.
You are a child. You don't understand how the internet works. People will take your half-truths and turn them into a weapon. They'll twist everything, and we'll be the villains in a story we didn't get to write. All because you were upset and wanted to lash out instead of talking to us like a family.
I tried talking, for years. I asked you to stop filming me when I cried. I asked for breaks. I begged you not to do the runaway prank. You heard all of that and chose viral potential over my mental health. This video wasn't a tantrum, it was my last resort when every private conversation failed.
You could have ruined us financially. Do you get that? The house, the cars, your college fund, Ethan's future, everything is tied to the channel. What kind of daughter risks her own brother's stability to make a point?
What kind of father risks his daughter's mental health to protect a channel? You keep talking about money and sponsors and analytics, but you never stop to ask why your child felt desperate enough to go public. If you had listened when the stakes were smaller, we wouldn't be here.
What do you want from me, Zara? An apology. Fine. I'm sorry if you felt hurt.
No, I don't want an "if you felt" apology. I want you to actually understand and take responsibility. I want you to say, "I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I crossed your boundaries. I'm sorry I valued the audience's reaction more than your well-being." And beyond words, I want actions. I want Ethan off the channel. I want you to stop filming our private lives without consent. I want you to advocate for laws that protect kids like me, instead of acting like this is all just family fun.
You are asking me to dismantle everything I've built.
No, I'm asking you to build something healthier on top of the truth instead of on top of my silence. You can still create content if you want to, just not at the expense of your children's autonomy. You can pivot, own up publicly, say you're learning. Or you can double down, paint me as the ungrateful daughter, and lose us anyway. But you can't go back to how things were. That era is over.
I need time to think.
Take all the time you want. Just know that while you're thinking, I'm not taking that video down. And I'm not stepping back into the role of your on-screen daughter. Not ever again.
I watched your video 3 times. The first time, I cried. The second time, I got angry, mostly at myself. The third time, I started taking notes on all the moments when I saw you clearly asking for help and me choosing comfort over courage. I let myself believe that because I wasn't the one holding the camera, I wasn't responsible. But I was. I stood by. I smoothed things over. I told you to be patient, that it would get better, when I should have said, "This is wrong and it stops now."
Mum, I didn't make the video to hurt you. I tried really hard to show that you were conflicted, that you weren't the mastermind. But I also couldn't ignore the fact that you were there, and sometimes your silence hurt almost as much as his pressure. I kept hoping you'd pick me over the channel, and when you didn't, it confirmed this awful belief that maybe I really was overreacting.
You weren't overreacting. You were surviving. And I failed you in ways I'm only fully grasping now, seeing it all laid out. I can't change the past, but I can decide how I respond now. I've already called a lawyer to set up a trust in your name and Ethan's name with a portion of the channel's earnings, retroactive. I'm insisting that any future revenue involving either of you goes there, or I walk. And I've told your father I won't allow Ethan to be filmed anymore without his explicit, age-appropriate consent, and even then, only for harmless, non-emotional content.
He agreed to that.
He's struggling. His pride is wounded, his image is crumbling, and he keeps oscillating between defensiveness and guilt. But the sponsors pulling out and the public pressure are forcing him to confront what he refused to see before. I told him plainly, we either change, or we lose our family. I think, for the first time, he believes me.
I'm glad you're taking those steps. Not just for me, but for Ethan. He deserves a chance to grow up without a camera glued to his face.
And you deserve a chance to figure out who you are off screen. Which is why I also wanted to tell you, if you want to move out, to get some space, I'll help you. Not as a punishment to your father, but as a gift to you. We can use some of the money set aside for you to cover an apartment, therapy, school, whatever you need to start building a life that feels like yours.
I don't know what to say. For so long I felt like leaving would be seen as betrayal, like I'd be abandoning you and Ethan. Hearing you say you'd support me makes it feel less like running away and more like growing up.
That's exactly what it is. And maybe, someday, when the dust settles and your father has done the work to truly change, we can sit in a room together again as a family, without cameras, and talk. Until then, I want you to follow whatever path leads you back to yourself.
So, Miss, dark truth about my perfect YouTube family, how does it feel to be the face of a whole new conversation about kids on social media? Have you seen the headlines? Teen YouTuber exposes family channel industry. Lawmakers call for new child influencer protections. Your video ignited something way beyond drama channels.
So feels strangely calm, considering how loud everything is online. Yes, there are think pieces and interviews and people arguing in comment sections about whether I'm a hero or a traitor. But inside, I feel quieter than I have in years. I wake up in the morning and I don't immediately think, is there a camera on me? I go for a walk and no one is secretly filming it for B-roll. I'm just a girl on a bench with her best friend, and that feels revolutionary.
Are you planning to keep making videos on your own channel? Or are you done with YouTube entirely?
I've been thinking about that a lot. I don't want to disappear completely, because I've seen how many people resonated with my story and how many kids and even adults are trapped in their own versions of it. But I also don't want to turn my trauma into a never-ending content pipeline. So I think I'll keep making videos, but on my terms, educational, reflective, maybe even some creative storytelling, like this animation. I'll talk about boundaries, mental health, media literacy. And I'll give myself permission to log off whenever I need to.
That sounds healthy, and very on brand for the new you, the you who writes her own scripts.
It's funny, my dad used to say, the algorithm rewards authenticity, but he never actually gave me space to be authentic when it didn't fit the brand. Now I'm finding out that authenticity isn't about crying on camera for clicks, it's about living in alignment with your values, even when no one is watching. If the algorithm likes that, cool. If it doesn't, I'll still sleep better.
And hey, for what it's worth, your first, my terms, video, this animated life story, is doing insanely well. People are binge watching it, sharing it, discussing it in forums. You wanted to educate and captivate. Mission accomplished.
Good. If even one kid watches this and realizes, I'm allowed to say no, then every sleepless night and every hard conversation was worth it. And if one parent watches and thinks twice before turning their child's tears into a thumbnail, even better.
So, final question, since we are wrapping the story up, if you could say one sentence to the younger version of yourself, the 10-year-old who agreed to be in that first, Meet Our Family, video, what would you tell her?
I'd tell her, you are not a character in someone else's show, you are the author of your own life, and no number of views is worth more than your peace.
And what would you say to the people watching this animation right now, about to click on another video?
I'd say, enjoy content, but question it. Remember that behind every perfect family and every viral prank is a real person with a real nervous system that feels real pain. Support creators who respect their own boundaries and the boundaries of the people they film. And if you're trapped in a story that hurts you, know that it's never too late to pick up the pen and start writing a new one.